Christy had a question. Why are my people complaining because my payroll program does not give them a bonus? And I said I would. Well, she called in the big guns, and we're going to go through how to figure out and solve the problem and how if statements cascade and how they work, which I'm not going to help her with her problem, but we're going to go through thinking about it so she can solve her own problem. There's been research, and I've read some articles this summer that struggling to solve a problem is part of the learning process, which we've always known that. But if you struggle and then you solve your own problem, you know how deeply that imprints that solution and what you learned into your brain. It's huge. If somebody gives you the answer, which I'm not ever going to try to do, you don't learn anything. If you look at somebody else's, if you have AI do it for you, but if you're struggling and have to think about it for a few days, that really puts the learning into your brain, which Christy's doing the right thing. She's like thinking and trying to figure it out. And when she figures it out on her own, that logic is really going to cement in there. And as a tutor or an instructor, I try not to give answers if at all possible, but it's really hard not to, it really is hard not to hint too much. But what we're going to do is go through our payroll program and not finish it, but part of what the payroll program does is it does multiple things, and you can decide in many orders how you do things. So I don't remember exactly what the assignment was, so I have to put in my USB drive, and we'll take a look at this. Oh, I just go to the website. We'll look at that one. All right, so wncc.blackboard.com. And there we are. And there we are in courses, Intro to Computer Science. Bet you're glad if you're watching this recording that I didn't stop it. Yep, it's a planet. I like alliteration. Okay, is this relevant to our program? No, it's just kind of funny. All right, so get the input. We need a name. What we're really looking at, we don't care about the name so much right now. We have the hourly rate, how many hours they worked, right? And a bonus code would mean we're putting in constants, right? Because we don't want to use magic numbers in there. We calculate pay by multiplying hours times rate. If the hours are over 40, we calculate 1.5 times the hourly rate. So what do we use the bonus code for? Oh, calculate bonus, but what's the bonus based on?
The bonus A and bonus B.
Oh, you
Just
can give
times
them,
whatever.
you can give them A and B.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I forgot what this program did. Yeah.
I structured it a little differently. I didn't do percentages. I just did, here's like an additional like couple $100, or here's an additional $90. I just had it go to add like a certain amount of money
Yeah.
to the
That
code.
should still work.
Either
Yeah.
way, it's the same solution.
I know that's not the issue, but.
No, it's not. No, and I just did it this way because quite often bonuses are percent, but you're right. Bonuses sometimes are also just, here's an extra $500. All right, this gives us the shape, and I already have the bonus in here. These are percents, which are decimals. So this is just my quick, why did I put that in there? Oh, that's part of the input, isn't it? Yeah, sorry. That should be part of this. Okay. Hours worked and bonus code, don't I? I need to put that in there. I forgot. Because this is a willy-nilly bonus, meaning they just decide they like you and they're going to give you a bonus, right? Has nothing to do with it. You did anything good. So we know how to get input, no problem there. So I'm just going to call this rate. Yeah, we'll just put this in. This shouldn't take too long. You already have that float. Then we need input. And then we need this little guy and hourly rate. This is all pretty easy. And then we have hours worked. We'll call it hours worked.
I wonder if I did something wrong. Cause when I was trying to test my code before I came here, I put the float into those two same strings and it flagged it as wrong. Like it
Huh.
flagged it as it wouldn't run.
No, this is how we've been doing it since the first day of Python.
Yeah, and that's what
We always
confused
do
me.
we either use float or int when we're getting numbers in Python. So the bonus, however, we're gonna say A or B. Is that what I did? I say A or B?
You'd be really flag.
Yeah, you type in A or B, so then we're getting a string. So to determine which one we want, we would just do input. And we'd say enter, right? Bonus, and then I help them with that by saying A, comma B, and I don't know what else I put in there, but it doesn't matter. So we have to do a decision based on a string input and some decisions based on float input. Which in Python, fortunately, making decisions with strings and floats and integers is all the same. It's not the same in Java, it's not the same in C++. But Python does a lot of heavy lifting behind the scenes for you, which is good. You know? But then also, it can be a problem. So is our regular pay going to give us a problem? Well, our regular pay is, how do we calculate our regular pay?
Hourly rate times hours work.
Yep. Hourly rate times hours worked. Well, what if we work 50 hours?
Let's go about that.
Yep, that's overtime. So we have to take into account the overtime, don't we?
Yep.
So I'll just call that overtime pay. This is not necessarily going to work. I'm just putting stuff down so I can think through it. I could also do this on paper, but I don't like to do paper and do it on an overhead thing. But when I'm working with somebody else explaining something, I quite often do it on paper. So this is my electronic equivalent. So overtime pay is going to be what?
Hours,
What hours?
overtime hours.
Okay. No, that's good. Exactly. This is not necessarily going to be perfect, but we're thinking through the problem. And if you do it on paper first, that's really good. Because our brains connect more naturally to paper when we're using a pencil, where keyboard is not the same feedback or organic kind of feeling. So we do overtime hours times.
You'd have to have your overtime rate times your hourly rate. Or your overtime rate.
Yeah, which do you want? Either one would work.
I put overtime rate times hourly rate. in quotes.
That's fine.
Or in
Overtime.
Quotation.
Overtime rate, that's fine. As I said earlier, there are more than one solution to this. There is more than one solution to this. All right, so we know we need overtime hours. We know we need overtime rate, whatever we're being paid for overtime things. We know that no matter how much they work, this is still going to work, isn't it?
You made a variable for both of those, didn't you?
Not yet. I'm just putting it down because we need to figure those out.
Oh,
We haven't figured them out yet. I was just saying, well, what do we need? And I said, this is not necessarily going to be right. So we're kind of pseudo-coding as we go. How do you calculate overtime pay? Well, we know we need to have it stored in a variable called overtime pay. We know we need to know how many overtime hours they worked. And we could do this we could do it in a different way, but Sean said he did it by just saying, okay, this is the overtime rate, which the overtime rate is
1.5
1.5 times
times your hours, overtime hours.
times the
Hourly-
regular,
hourly
times the
rate.
hourly rate.
Yeah.
So once we know what we're aiming for, we're kind of working backwards from where we're aiming for. And Eliza just solved one of them. How do we get our overtime rate? Well, is that what you said, Christy? I just made up some variables with no value.
no, I thought you had already
No.
made a variable for hours and rate.
I'm kind of going through as I'm reading the problem and thinking through it, and I'm kind of pseudo coding by not making it work. So I'm putting in what our result is, right? In order to do overtime pay, we need overtime hours and overtime rate.
Yeah.
We haven't calculated it yet.
Because technically your overtime rate would be a constant, so.
You're right. And you're talking about the 1.5.
Yes. Which is already up above. It's
Okay,
certified labeled
no,
as
that makes sense. Where's the overtime rate? There it is. Yep. There. So we got one, don't we? But how do we figure out the overtime hours? And if we have the overtime rate of 1.5, can we multiply that times our overtime hours and get our overtime pay? Are we missing something? What are we missing? Because this is 1.5, but it's 1.5 of what,
your hourly rate.
right? So try not to do a whole bunch of stuff at the same time. Kind of where I thought where you were heading is kind of what I was doing earlier. Let me go back to where I was doing. So that's not a good variable name. But we can figure out the overtime. Did I call it overtime rate? I don't know, it's a good variable name. We know that's going to have overtime, that one in it, and that's not a good naming convention, but the actual what we pay overtime. Yeah, see, overtime pay, I don't know what to call this. Overtime. I don't know. Does anybody have a good name? I don't know. Anyway, this is our 1.5. So how do we calculate how much we have to multiply by the hours to get 1.5? We've already got the 1 here, correct? If my hourly rate is $10 and I work 10 hours, I have $100. But what if I work 50 hours for $10? I would have 50 times 10, which is 500, perfect so far. So I'm just running a test case through it. But I have to figure out, what do I pay him for those extra 10 hours? I've already paid him the 1, right?
Well, you have to subtract your regular hour, your constant regular work hours, which would be 40 hours a week from the hours that you work, the 50
Yeah.
overall. So
That doesn't solve this yet, but that solves one of our problems, is we have to
that
know
gets you the overtime.
that, we have to know that. Don't we?
And then
Let's get that done first. So
you're
we do,
confused. I think you're making it overly complicated for what it actually should do.
well, how do we simplify it? How do you work a problem so you come up with a solution? This is one way. I said there's many ways to solve it. You're not liking my method here? Oh, no, Sean, I have your grade in my hand, baby. You better be nice to me. No. What would you do instead? Oh, let's finish this out. So overtime hours is going to be, what's our calculation for that?
Overtime rate times hourly rate.
No, how many hours we worked overtime?
Oh, I don't.
We need to figure out, Sean said that we need to figure out where that extra 10 hours, in my example, are 50 hours. We have to get the 10 hours into here. Because that's the only part that does the 1.5.
So your work week minus your hours worked. Which your work
Hours
week
worked.
is your constant.
Is that the one? Is that what I called it?
Oh,
I called it
put a
overtime
constant as a
pay.
work week.
Yeah,
But
that's a
you have
better
it in-
constant. You're right. That's a good one.
And everything as a constant.
Yeah, that's better than the one I had. Okay, so work week, I'll have to change that in the assignment. So overtime hours be work week.
Which is 40. And then if you worked 50 hours minus your hours worked.
We're getting there. So let's solve this problem. So how do we get the 10 hours out of our hours worked? Subtract, yes. So we end up with how many overtime hours we've worked.
The extra one?
Hmm?
The extra one.
If I work 50 hours, this gives me my regular pay for 50 hours.
Right,
This gives me my 10 hours that I've worked more.
right,
That's my 10 overtime hours.
right.
Is there a better way to do this? Yeah. What if we put in some if statements and make some decisions? That's what Sean is saying. I'm making it too complicated. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to solve this. So let's go with what he just said. Instead of doing everything and then figuring it out afterwards, let's maybe have two different places where we have two different calculations. If they don't have overtime pay, we don't care. We just multiply it, we're done. Or we have another one where we do the whole overload calculation thing or overtime calculation, which is the point of this program, right? Which I know Chrissy has done some of this too. So how would I separate my two people? If I work 40 hours, I fall into this one. If I work more than 40 hours, I fall into the next bucket. How do I separate them? What's a good way?
I was in, my brain was somewhat, can you say it again, please?
Okay, so I either work 40 hours or I work over 40 hours. So I'm either getting regular pay or I get overtime.
Okay, so you can say if hours work is equal or is less than 40. Yeah, and then it's going to use it.
We actually need less than or equal to.
Yep.
Because it's above 40 that it takes place. Which is actually our work week, isn't it? Yeah, there we go. Because I'm gonna have you guys put in a 80-hour work week next week, so I want to be able to change it very easily. Right? L, and I'm gonna do LF even though we don't have any other conditions yet. Whoops.
But we don't have the no code, I thought it was like 3 decision.
There
was just one
will
that said
be.
no code.
Yeah, there will be. I'm writing this out on paper. This is as if I'm doing it on paper. I just am not doing it on paper on a camera. But I'm typing it in, I'm doing it on paper. So we could just say else because it's either one or the other, right? What do you think? Yeah, let's do that, because either they have overtime or they don't. That's one way to do it. All right, now are you happier, Sean?
Yes,
Good.
thank you.
But this is what it's like solving a program. Sometimes you go down a blind alley, you go do backtracking and you think, oh, well, this is a better solution, right? You're right. This is better. So now we're done. And then when we get down here to our display, we can just display our results. You know, like I can do print, wages or whatever. What was my variable? Regular pay. I'll just do this as an example. It's sometimes good to have print statements to test what's going on. And we're going to use F-string formatting, if I can remember all that stuff.
Oh, F, no,
Did I put an R? Oh, yeah, it's supposed to be an F. F regular pay, and then I need my variable. There it is. And my variable is hourly pay. Hourly. Oh, no, I call it something else. Regular pay. There it is. Regular pay. And then we need a colon and then a comma, right? And then a 2F. Nope, that's not right. Oh, I'm doing it in the wrong place. There we go. But who knew the syntax of this? I'm
You
doing,
forgot the dot.
Yeah, the period.
that's still not right.
You need to do it inside the bracket.
Oh, that's where I was doing it. I was doing it wrong.
Oh, okay.
I don't memorize this. It's still not right,
2F,
but it's still wrong. I got one of these things wrong.
irregular pay rate.
Regular pay. There we go. That's what I was doing wrong. Yeah, I haven't done one of these for a while. So there we go. We're printing out a regular pay. Oh, we could print out separately for each one of these, couldn't we? You could put a print statement here. You could put a print statement here. You could put print statement somewhere else. How about if we just print it all at once? How do we make regular pay survive outside of this if statement? If I don't want to print with each of these calculations, I want to print at the end. How do I make regular pay survive? Because once I've gone in here and done this, once I step out, regular pay disappears. It's no longer has anything in it. Right? That's our scope. Remember scope? Everything inside here stays inside here. How do I get it to stay as I go through the program?
Well, if you know you can only work 40 hours, we can just do regular pay equals hourly rate times 40. Because if you had to get through.
What I'm saying is, this is if you do hours from 1 to 40.
Yeah.
I'm calculating my regular pay. However, this regular pay is not going to be able to be printed out here.
Right, so if you create another regular pay, and then instead of using hours for it, you should just be able to do regular pay hourly rate times 40. in your else statement.
I could, but would that solve what I'm talking about? I'm talking about a scope thing. And also, it looks like I misspelled regular pay, even though that is right, isn't it? This is a scope thing. If I want to be able to print out the same variables, I have to assign it ahead of time. Now it'll work. Because this keeps it alive through the entire program. If I just declare it here, I can't get to it out here unless I do a print with each one of these decisions. Yes, no,
Where's your printer?
down here. I'm just gonna print once. You could do it where you decided and print it each time.
Well, I just meant you can set your regular pay equal to, equal in your else statement. You could set up an equation to get your regular pay in the else statement.
But that still doesn't let me print it out, no matter which decision
Why
I make.
wouldn't it?
I want the same printing thing, no matter what I do. I want to print
Yeah.
once.
Yeah, and you're not adding another print, you're just adding another calculation.
But if I add a calculation in here, can I print it over here? I can't
Why
print
would you
over,
do?
I can't print overtime hours. And this may or may not work. It may blow up anyway. Okay, hourly rate at 10. I worked 40 hours. It's not
Okay, so you
fine.
need to declare that one outside of it. The regular pay
Yes.
is declared before it.
That's what I'm trying to get to. To not have to print inside of each of these, which doesn't solve Christie's problem at all yet. It doesn't. It's not supposed to. But remember I talk about dry and wet? Printing on each one of these is a wet solution.
I don't even know how close we are to the problem I had.
No, I'm not gonna solve your problem for you, Christie.
I know.
But see how this is printing the same stuff each time and I have different answers? I just want to have one entry place, one print place, the calculations happen in between. I don't want to have a separate print statements and stuff for each of the decisions. That's a dry solution. I'm not repeating myself, which still doesn't solve Christie's problem. It is something that may make her code more elegant, but it doesn't help. And so what I was trying to get to here is scope. If something is on the left, it goes through the whole program. If something's calculated inside of something else, it does not survive outside that scope, which is the computer science term for that. This only exists here unless I create it ahead of time and assign a 0 to it, like for instance, overtime hours. If I want that to survive, I have to do that.
Did you not also use the global keyword inside?
I hate
functions
that
for
one. Yeah, that's not a good solution.
Okay,
The better solution for this is use functions and break it up into functions. The global keyword to me is just you're being lazy.
okay.
Yeah. For simple programs, you can do this. From a complex, you'd push things between one function and another. Is what you do. But yes, you could use the global keyword. My preference is not to use it because it's just like, I think, being lazy. If you're complex enough, you have to have a global keyword. You should be using functions or object-oriented programming, but that's just me. So I don't even teach the global keyword. I probably should, just so you know what it is when you see it. Anyway, we get our regular pay. We have our, what are the 4 things we're supposed to print? Five things, where's my thing? Oh, I closed it. So we're supposed to print. Oh, there it is, actually, it's in my deal. Notice I put it down here. Anyway, we'll get to Christie's problem in a second. So I want to do the regular pay, I want to do the overtime hours, what else am I printing? Whatever it is. A second, I'm gonna move this over here where I can see it. There we go. Sorry, my trying to get you guys to figure that out kind of turned like really squirrely. It didn't work very good, did it? So we have regular pay, we have overtime pay. Oh, I don't have overtime hours in there, do I? I'll just do it the way it is in the problem. I just need overtime pay. I need the bonus, right? And I need the gross pay. I'm not gonna make it pretty. I'll just put it in there. There. All right. So we have regular pay, we're good. Right? However, if they work more than regular pay and we go here, what else do we have to do? This is one of those times when we kind of have to repeat ourselves, don't we? Or do we? Or how does this work? We figured out our overtime hours, right? We only want to pay regular rate for the first 40. How do we do that? How do we calculate the overtime pay and the regular pay in here? How do we do just one for 40 and then one for the rest of it? We figured out that the overtime hours in my example is 10, but we still have to pay him, which is where Owen was heading. He says we need to do regular pay equals hourly rate times 40, and that's where you were going, and I was going in a different place. We were not synchronized here.
I was like, what do you mean? Is it just?
Which is where I was trying to make this work, so you figured it out, and I just we kind of all fell apart. So he's right, yes. We have our regular pay, if we're doing overtime, we have to pay him 40 bucks or 40 hours. Now we need to calculate our 10 hours, right? We have our 10 hours. Correct? Oh, we're not printing our overtime hours. I have to do this with my overtime pay, don't I? There we go. Oh, and yep, there we go. So overtime rate, overtime pay. Okay, what else do we have to figure? We have to figure this mess out, don't we, here? We're getting our overtime hours, right? So we have 10. And some reason we have overtime rate in here twice. Going from here, how do we calculate our overtime pay? What can we do with this to simplify it and solve the problem? I'm looking at Owen.
Get rid of the overtime rate.
Yeah, somehow that got in there. I don't know. It's like when you're, you back into something. Oh, that thing just jumped in front of my car, right? You've never heard that, have you, Sean? I don't know what happened. It wasn't there when I looked. Suddenly it just jumped in back of my car and I ran into it. Right? No? Overtime hours times, what was it again? Overtime
Overtime rate.
Yes, sorry, I was trying to be funny and it wasn't working, was it? And there it is, overtime rate. So now we have regular pay. We don't need that, but we need it to calculate. We have overtime pay, yet we haven't calculated the bonus pay yet. Where is a good way to gross pay? How do we do the gross pay? And then we'll do the bonus. How do we figure out the gross pay? What is your gross pay? Gross, they call it gross, isn't that what they said, gross pay?
So, yeah.
Yeah, gross payment, that's what it's called. What did you gross last year? Like, what did you make before taxes? That's something we say in the United States. Like, in our pay stubs, we get, like, you made this for this, you made this for this, your total pay, maybe total pay might be better. But it's the total amount I'm gonna make. I've worked 50 hours. I want my regular time for 40 of it. I want my time and a half for the other 10. What is my total amount of money I'm going to get?
That's the bonus or after or before the bonus?
After everything is done, I've got my regular pay. If I did overtime, I've got my overtime pay. How do we figure out the total pay?
We'll add them together.
So I need my total pay, and notice I'm not inside any specific thing, right? So I would add them together, yeah, overtime pay. Plus regular pay. That gives me my total pay, which is kind of dumb. Gross pay in the United States means the same thing, it's your total payment.
Do you want to put it in bonus? Either thing?
Well, yeah. We'll add the bonus on, we can always add the bonus on later. Cause then we just have to say plus bonus. Right? So do you think this will work so far? Will it work for my example? Well, let's find out, let's try it. So I make $10 an hour. I worked 50 hours. I'm not get a bonus. Uh-oh. Where'd that minus 15 come from? And I have 385. Uh-oh.
Government taxes.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know what I did there. Actually, I thought it was gonna work. Oh. So we have the hourly rate times the hours worked equals regular pay. We're good there, right? Hourly rate, hours work. Okay, those line up. Sometimes you get your variables mixed up. And if I do hourly rate times the work rate, that gives me my regular pay here. And I have my work week minus. Oh,
Oh,
what did I do wrong there?
it also, maybe also put to be hours work minus the hours.
Yeah,
for
I
the
got
week.
that backwards. That's why it's minus. Probably, I'm sure Sean said it right, but I typed it in wrong. I just typed it in backwards. That's where the negative came from. So far, so good. Well, we'll see if that works. Hourly rate is 10. We work 50 hours. No bonus. Regular pay is 400. What's that, 15? Why am I printing out something? Oh, see, that's what you do when you don't like actually put it in there.
Put in,
Oh, that's right, overtime hours.
Yeah, if you don't put the whole print thing in there, then you don't know what it is. Overtime pay, and I'll just do it the simple way with commas, even though it's ugly. You can make it prettier later. And the reason there's nothing printing in the bonus is there's nothing there, which is what it's supposed to be.
But that's just giving you the amount of hours, that's not giving you the pay.
Good point. Put that, this thing like pops stuff in front of me. And let's do that. Go pay, because if you're printing things out, that's called, when you print things out to see what's going on, that's called print debugging, and I'm not really doing that. But if I don't know what the output is, I can't really figure out what's going on, can I? Do I have it right, Sean? That's right. All right, let's look through this logic again. This gives us our regular pay, which gets printed out here. This gives us our overtime hours, which is right. If we work 50 minus 40 should give us 10. Right? We have 10 overtime hours, which that should be 10 times 10 is 100. It should be 150.
Well, 10 times, yeah, 10 times 1.5.
Should be
It's
150.
It's 15. 10 times 1.5 is 15.
But we have to calculate how come we can't get our $150? Why can't we get our $150?
Because you didn't calculate it as pay.
Okay,
That's because you didn't calculate.
how do I calculate it as pay?
Because you didn't calculate.
Well,
Come on, people.
give me the answer.
Jump in. Help.
Help him out. Because all I've done is I've taken 10 hours times 1.5. Does that give me the overtime pay?
So 15 times what?
You didn't add.
Right.
You didn't add your hourly rate.
You're what? 15 times what?
Right,
What do you get paid?
that's what I'm asking.
15
I'm
times. how
not
much do you
coming
get
up with
paid?
the answer. So we have our overtime hours, which is 10. Our overtime rate is 1.5
Times your.
times what?
Times your,
Times what? Yes, Owen, Sean knows the answer. He's doing what I'm doing, which is like Come on, figure it out. What do we have to multiply this by? I work 50 hours. 40 of it is not have anything to do with it. We're figuring the extra 10. So my extra 10 hours get paid at 1.5 of my
Hourly rate.
Yay, Caleb. And even if you're wrong, jump in there and say something, but you got it exactly right. Oh, no, I forgot what we said.
Hourly rate.
Oh, hourly rate. Yeah. Now, is this going to work as it's written? There's something called the order of,
Yeah, it'll be fine.
it will be fine?
Yeah.
Because we have the overtime hours times the overtime rate.
Yeah.
And that times the hourly rate will come out fine. But that's something you always want to check when you have multiple things going on, that it does come out right. And if it doesn't, you have to pay attention to your order of precedence. Will this work? Oh, Sean, that was pretty funny. 10, 50, okay, roll the dice. What do you think? Did it work? It did, yeah. So I was running a test case through it, which I would have done on paper, which I'm just doing it on the screen, but I would have done it on paper. If you had manually calculated this on your own on paper, how do you apply that to the computer, which is essentially what I'm doing on the screen, because I really not as good with paper as I am with a computer. So far, so good. Does this solve any of your problems, Christy? You've already been to this point, right?
Not really.
What?
I still need to figure out how to get bonus A and bonus B to print.
That's easy. You print it every single time. Right? Because I want bonus to survive through my calculations. I've been giving you examples of this all this time. There. So I bone you, okay, okay. So I'm going to calculate my bonus on either one of these, right?
Okay.
Or does it matter? Do I care? Do I need bonus ahead of time? Can I just add bonus to something? Bonus has nothing to do with hours worked or anything, does it? Help me out here. I'm starting to feel like Sean. You can do it by percentage. Christy did it by numbers. But what is this based on? If I do it by percentage, say you made $550 this week, I'm going to give you a 5% bonus. How would you calculate your 5% bonus? Come on, help me out, people.
You need your total of overtime and your regular pay. And then just multiply that.
Which is this, isn't it? Well, that's our total pay. So we would do total pay equals, well, you can't just say bonus A and bonus B, can you? Because you may have bonus A, you may have bonus B. How do we make that decision?
Anything
Else?
Yeah. Boy, I tell you, this is a tough crowd today. If, and I forgot what the variable is, I entered it into bonus. If bonus equals, we'll just say that they enter a capital letter. You can do the change case thing. I'm not going to bother with it. You can take care of whether it's upper or lowercase. We're just not going to do it right now. If bonus equals B, what do I do? Somebody just said the answer. Was that Owen? If it's B, I guess I should do A first, shouldn't I? That makes more sense. Okay, so total pay would be, because we're just going to add our bonus into it. Help me out. Oh, actually, I could do this up here, couldn't I? Let's do that. Because it's not relevant to the total pay. So if my bonus is this, how do I calculate my total pay with the bonus? Or how do I just calculate my bonus?
Well, you need to calculate the bonus first before you can
Yeah.
add it to your total pay.
Yeah, let's calculate the bonus pay. How do I calculate my bonus pay? What is the bonus pay based on? In my case, it's a percentage. It could also be that you just add something to it, same thing.
It'd be your bonus times your total pay,
Right, so we did A, so we need bonus
or your total
A.
pay times your bonus.
Yeah, bonus pay equals bonus A in this case, times regular pay. That's what we got right now. We'll
Yeah.
just do it times. No, it's times everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we need our, oh, we don't have it so that we can use it in there, do we? I mean, there's other ways to do this, but there. Now it'll survive. Probably should break it up. Let's make it object oriented. I'm gonna say,
It's your total pay, because you have a right below there. You want it by your total pay,
that would be better, wouldn't it?
because your overtime pay and your regular pay.
Let's do that. So. So in that case, we don't need this then. That's just better not to have those kind of variables going on. So if bonus A equals bonus B, whatever, either way, we either end up with a bonus pay or we don't. And to make sure that it survives as a zero, I should put that bonus pay. We start out with zero. That means that if they don't get a bonus, it's automatically zero. And you'll always print a zero. And that should be bonus pay, shouldn't it? There, now my variables line up. So if they don't hit either A or B, bonus pay is gonna be zero. If they hit A, our bonus pay is going to be bonus pay times our total pay. Is that right? Yes. Because we're going to add it in right here. After we're done with that, we'll say total pay equals, how do we
Oh,
accumulate?
you want, if you, well, sorry, go ahead.
What were you gonna say, Sean?
No, I'm just going off what I did, but, because
Yeah.
I changed the total pay, I called it grand total.
Yeah,
And
you
everything,
can, or in my
you're
case-
also doing total pay right there,
I'm accumulating.
because you have total pay for regular pay and
Right.
overtime. I
And then
just
I'm
changed it.
I'm accumulating into the total pay
Yeah.
that's already there, which is perfectly valid. Either way is fine.
Cool.
It might be clearer if you had different variable names too.
Yeah, that's why,
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
but
Total pay times, what is that total pay times? No, total pay
No.
plus. Plus bonus, right? Plus bonus pay. There, this gonna work? That will work for A anyway. I just didn't fill out the part for B. Now let's see if it works. Hourly rate 10, hours worked 50, bonus. I did the A bonus. Woohoo. Are there other solutions? Yeah, Sean's program is different than what I just did here. If I did it again, I'm sure my solution is different. Is this logical enough that if I commented it and you looked at it afterwards, would it make sense? Yeah. I'm not repeating much of anything. I mean, I'm really not repeating anything, and that's what I'm looking for this class especially is, are you like repeatedly printing the same thing? Are you doing the same calculation over and over again? Well, in this case, we kind of had to do this one. I mean, there's not a really good way to get out of that unless you make the code really complex. So sometimes you do have to repeat a little bit, but you shouldn't be printing. Do your calculations, figure out some way you can print everything at the end. Is a more elegant solution. Does that mean if you didn't do that, that it's wrong? No, but we're looking toward, can we make it more Pythonic, is the term Python uses? More elegant, meaning it's a better solution. Even though you can build a house with just a hammer, it'd be better if you had a hammer and a screwdriver and other tools. You know, you build a better house and you use nicer paint. Does that help you any, Christie? Okay, you just had to wait
the
till
whole,
very-
the whole
the whole
time period.
Entire class period.
No,
Yeah.
all this was important because it's this kind of thinking. And see where Sean and Owen
Ah.
and Caleb were adding things in. If you're by yourself, who adds those things in? Your duck. Everybody have a rubber duck? Nobody has? You have a rubber duck. Oh, did I not bring my rubber ducks in?
Ever,
You have a rubber, Sean probably has one from last year.
You didn't get.
You didn't hand them out last
Okay.
year.
So how did we solve the problem? We talked amongst each other, right? I'll have to stop the recording and then we can do the duck. Cause this did turn longer than I thought it would be. However, every bit of this is relevant because we worked through bad solutions, we backtracked, we came to a better solution. Is developing a program like that? Absolutely. That's how you solve problems. Sometimes you go down a wrong place and then